You know what, hindsight, this would have been a really great video idea for like 3 to 4 years ago when people didn't know what the units did, when there were more new players that were confused on what units they should pick for different things. Now, at this point, I think that most people know, most of you guys know what the units do, know what units that you need for your box. Like, oh, I need this one, I need that one. I want to do RTA, I need this thing, I want to do Arena, I need that thing. You don't really need me to tell you what units you should pick. But anyway, we're going to do this because I already did a little presentation for you guys, and now I'm like, oh, okay, well, I already did it, so I guess we're doing the video. But anyway, we have an SWC 2021 scroll giveaway. It's only an 8% chance to actually get it, but you know what? This could be beneficial for, or an 8% chance to actually get a NAT 5 from this scroll, right? But this could be beneficial for, like, new players, returning players, people that are going to re-roll for something and they're like, oh, which unit can benefit me long-term? Because this is really what it is. It's which units can benefit you long-term in endgame, but also really nice for beginner and mid-game for many different areas. Very flexible, very versatile, great units to pick from any blessings that you have as well. Not even about the SWC scroll. You know, we're talking about the SWC scroll today, but it doesn't necessarily have to be about the SWC scroll. This could be good for re-rolls. This could be good for deciding on what things are good from blessings. But anyway, yeah, we got the SWC, whatever. It's an 8% chance, guys. I'm sorry, I have nothing to do with the percent chance. I wish it was higher. I always wish it was higher. I wish there was pities. I wish a lot of things, right? So let's go over the, of course, Vagel did a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation. It's not PowerPoint. It's Open Office. I'm not going to use PowerPoint. Why is there still a red box on there? Okay, so 10 recommendations for SWC 2021 scroll choices. I did NAT 5's. We could do, if you guys really like, I don't think you guys are going to really need NAT 4 things or even NAT 5's, but if you guys want NAT 4's, I will do it. The purpose of this is to discuss with some more casual to mid-game players, which NAT 5 units are great in endgame, although meta has changed, but also valuable in early game, mid-game, PvE, and multiple areas, giving them the best overall value for their account. We will discuss more specific focus units at the end. If you're focused on RTA, if you're focused on, like, you want to climb in RTA specifically, if you want to climb in Arena specifically, what units you should pick, if you want to do that. I mean, it could be helpful for some returning players, right? As a note, I value attack bar reduction and slow very highly across the board in many areas of Summoner's War. Why? I don't know why there's a little dot here. Because no matter whether it's PvP or PvE, it's almost always useful versus other players, versus bosses. Summoner's War is a turn-based game, so denying the enemy their turns, whether PvP or PvE, is very powerful. Okay, so let's get it started. The first thing, a lot of attack gauge reduction. Ganymede, top tier RTA support. He's number 10 on the list because he's great in a lot. All of these units are going to be great in a lot of different areas. He does do damage with skill 3 if you build him for damage. A lot of people don't build him for damage. Some do, but a lot of people don't. He has a 740% damage multiplier, but it's only a single target, and his second skill doesn't do any damage, right? So he's top tier RTA support. He's useful in arena offense. He's a great support in TOA. He can be good in Labyrinth Hell, can be good in some Siege as well, depending on the teams, right? So, like, for example, the Gemini and then Galleon, Gemini and Ganymede, Gemini, Ganymede, and some big damage yield, like, for example, one of the Assassins is a really nice team for that. Not that that's the only one you can use, but yeah. Number 9 is Charlotte. It's an underrated unit in RTA, been picked actually more so this season. Also, with the additional damage and artifacts, gets much stronger there. Also has glancing hit, which is really nice against Diana and things that do debuffs. Great in arena offense, great in TOA and TOA hard. Great for, she's like double AoEs, right? Great farmer for early game. She has a crit rate leader skill, which means that you don't need for early game, you don't need, if you're going to build her like speed or damage attack, or attack or damage attack, you don't need maxed out crit rate. You can be fairly lax with the crit rate and still do well, still crit on everything all the time. She's got double AoEs, and she can cycle her, like she can get asleep on skill 1 and then cycle into another AoE. So she actually gets her, she's actually a very good farmer. Great early game Giants dungeon unit too. Because, you know, you don't have all the end game Giants teams in early game. That's the thing with early game. Unless you're like super try hard rush immediately. But yeah, also good in other PvE areas. Then we have the next one is Wusa. He's meta again in World Arena. He used to be very beginning of World Arena. Then he kind of fell out of meta because there's so many strippers. Now he's meta again. Top tier support healer. Can be useful in TOA Hell. He's good in Labyrinth as well. He's also an early game crutch dungeon unit. I've seen people use him. I think people use him a little bit too long, or a lot of it too long, actually, for their dungeons. Is like, oh, I got a Wusa. oh great, this is gonna be awesome in dragons, this is gonna be awesome in giants, I don't have to worry about building good teams. It's like, no, you should still build good teams. Don't let Wusa be a crutch. People do this all the time, and then they lack in making progress because they have not progressed to the next thing. They lack in making progress because they have not progressed to the next thing. You guys, clip that. Enjoy that clip. Let's go. That's a juicy clip. He's also great. He's a great guild siege unit. He's got immunity. He's got a little bit of damage too with his skill 2 now. Very nice. Because he's got, it was in the last balance patch. And then he's got shield, immunity. He's just a fantastic support unit for overall so many different places. But he can be a crutch if you rely on him a little bit too much. Then we have Cira. So, oh, you guys already know what the next unit on the list is. So Cira, I personally would love to put her a little bit lower down on the list, like less useful, but I know people gonna be like, Cira needs to be on this list. If I didn't put Cira on this list, I would get crucified. So, Cira, very versatile in RTA. You can use her in a turn 1 comp. You can use her in a turn 2 bruiser comp. Cycles a lot with crit rate on slot 4. Great in arena offense, but arena offense is a different build than RTA. Just keep that in mind for any of you new or returning players or whatever. RTA is tankier with additional damage and artifacts and very high crit rate. For arena offense, she is just built her with a ton of attack power, and it's less about the turn cycling there, and it's more about just trying to do as much damage with the bombs as possible. It's a different playstyle and a different build. Can be useful in TOA as well. Not my favorite unit in TOA, but I know some people use her in TOA for bomb teams. Great early game Giants dungeon unit. Great guild siege unit. Very good guild siege unit actually, but I don't know why it says great early game Giants. She's not a great early game Giant. She's in usable early game Giants. I think that's not. I don't know why it says that. Next one is Rika. Just being honest, she's not as good as like Charlotte for Giants, for example. Great in RTA. Right? Last pick situation. You can't pick her early because then people just play around her. Useful in arena defense, although she's kind of less meta. Now she was a little bit more meta a bit ago. God's here in TOA. TOA hard. Anything with Tattoo and Soth and Thrain. Absolutely ridiculous in those teams. She's a great farmer for early game for the same reason as Charlotte. She's good in dot teams for PvE. She is great in Labyrinth and other PvE areas. So... then we have Poseidon. So you're seeing a lot of these things have AoEs, right? Well, not a lot of these things, actually. There will be more AoEs. The higher we go on the list, there will be more AoEs. Next one, we have Poseidon. Great in RTA. A little bit underrated in RTA. Great in arena offense. Because he's like a lot of the things that counter the fast, aggressive control teams. He also got a few buffs. If you're a returning player, he actually did get a few buffs over the past like couple of years. So... a little bit underrated. I don't know if he's underrated, actually, now that I think about it. I'm like, a little bit under... No, I think a lot of people realize how good he is in those specific fast, aggressive comps. I don't think he's really underrated, actually. Great in arena offense, fantastic in arena offense. He denies the enemy their turns. He slows, and I mentioned this in the very beginning. He slows and he decreases the attack bar. He also has an attack power leader skill. He does damage based on speed. He's a very, very good unit. Great in TOA hard. Denying enemy turns is strong in basically every aspect of the game, unless you're talking like Punisher's Crypt. That's a different story. He's a great farmer for early game. He's an attack power lead and he has double AoEs. Good for Feynman as well. Bagel, you really... Okay, we don't care about Feynman in 2021, buddy. Great guild siege offense unit also. I've seen people do like Galleon, Tiana, and Poseidon all the time with very high success. And then we have Carnal. This is a unit that a lot of people think of nowadays as like, oh, he's an RTA unit. Carnal's an RTA unit, RTA. Carnal is good for much more than just RTA. He's great in RTA, of course. He's got a leader skill, and he also has, he's great with additional damage and artifacts. He denies the enemy their turns. He turn cycles with skill 2, which is great as well. He's great in arena defense because HP 44% leader skill, and he's a fire threat, so Lucians are not going to have super fun times with him. He's great in TOA and TOA hard, which I think a lot of people don't realize. They have a Carnal, they're like, great, I don't do RTA. Like, early mid-game players, they're like, I don't do RTA, I don't need to build this unit. This is a great unit for, he will provoke with skill 1, which is still great for bosses, right? You can't stun bosses, but you can provoke bosses. Then he has a a skill 2 that absorbs the enemy's attack gauge, right? Decreases their attack gauge, increases his attack gauge. And he has a skill 3, AoE, slow, stun, and decrease attack gauge. He's fantastic for all stages of TOA. He's he was always a good unit for TOA and TOA hard. People just didn't realize it. So yeah, a decent farmer for early game. Not the greatest, not as good as like Charlotte or things like that, or Poseidon, but he can farm things up if you need. I mean, you got Lapis and other things like that. Great early game Dragons dungeon unit as well. I think a lot of people don't really think about him as a Dragons unit, but if you don't have Tricaru built yet, he's a good Dragons unit. Not that you need NAT 5's for Dragons B12. Really, you shouldn't be picking your NAT 5's based on, is this good for dungeons? Because you just use everything else for dungeons. You don't need NAT 5 for dungeons. But yeah, great Guild Siege. He's a good Guild Siege unit. I wouldn't say he's like a top tier Guild Siege unit, but he is useful also in like Dragons. Also, he can be useful in Necropolis too. He has multi-hits with skill 2 and skill 3. So then the next one is Savannah. Savannah's another one. Again, more attack gauge reduction. Attack gauge reduction in slows. Also defense breaks too. Great in RTA, great in arena offense, great in arena defense. She's a threat for arena defense. She's a threat for Guild Siege defense. She also doesn't just die. If you kill her, she dismounts and she goes into... I always want to say human form. It's not. She's a human either way, but she just dismounted, and she does extra damage there. So great in TOA and TOA hard. Again, for the same reasons, attack bar pushback denies enemy their turns. Great farmer for early game. Great early game Giants dungeon unit. Attack gauge reduction, defense breaks, and slows and things like that. Great Guild Siege unit. Also strips, and then she's got slow and skill 1 as well, which is good to desync the giant from the towers. Again, for early game. Because late game, you're going to just be using the continuous damage teams anyway. And a great Guild Siege unit, which I mentioned. And a great unit for defense, too. She's a very dangerous threat. She's got strips, she's got defense breaks, and she's got damage. And she's got some form of death prevention-ish kind of thing. Then we have Bastet, which is one of... I already ruined it! I ruined the number 1 pick! And now you guys are typing. Now you guys are like, oh, we're offended that my favorite unit isn't number 1. So Bastet is one of the most versatile units in the game. You can basically just put her anywhere and she makes sense and she works, and she really is not a bad pick for anything. She's great in arena for arena offense. She's some people use her in arena defense too, but her low base speed is not one of the most premium units for arena defense. So keep that in mind. She's good for RTA cleave teams. Some people just farm the crap out of giants, and they just try to get like insane fast, because again, her base speed holds her back for PvP, where it's just like sometimes you're just contesting speed. But yeah, can be useful in TOA, can be useful in most, because she's got an AoE with 3 debuffs, so that's pretty good for TOA just in general. You set up your team with attack, power buff, and shield, which is like basically kind of like a healer. Not quite the same, it's a more preventative measures. And then she's got multiple debuffs for the enemies for skill 2 and attack power breaks for skill 1. So, and glancing hits could be nice as well. But yeah, she's just useful everywhere. She's not like I want to say she's not like the queen of everything. Lulz. No pun intended. I think there's a pun intended. But, I mean, she's a fantastic, ridiculously good unit for arena offense. So I shouldn't say she's not the queen of everything. Like, she's the queen of arena offense. But she's just great in everything. Great in Rift Beast, great Guild Siege unit, useful Labyrinth and other PvE. Bastet's top tier. She's a fantastic unit for, like, everything. And then we have Shungpung, which is number 1, in my opinion. Like, he's so ridiculously OP. Like, you guys were complaining. I showed a video of, like, RTA, and you guys like, oh, Shungpung, oh, Luxacker with Shungpung. I'm like, that's why I have to pick Shungpung so much, because he's such an OP unit. He's great in RTA, he's great in arena offense, I use him in arena offense every single day. Every single day I use him in arena offense. Great in TOA, and attack gauge reduces everything and increases their cooldowns. Ridiculous. Great farmer for early game. He also has an attack power for wind, but if he's the farmer and the rest of the units don't matter, then he's 50% extra attack. It's fantastic. Great early game Giants dungeon unit. Attack gauge reduction, defense breaks, glancing hits. Fantastic attack gauge reduction with skill 1 and skill 3. Great Guild Siege unit as well. He's just a phenomenal unit overall. He's great for PvE. He's great for PvE, PvP. He's great for everything. Then we have... Oh, I almost thought I wasn't recording. I looked down and I'm like, 0, 0, 0. It's the live counter. I've been live for 0 seconds. So anyway, These ones are top tier. If you're looking for, if you've got those or you don't care about those for whatever reason, you really should care about some things like Bastet and Shungpung are ridiculously OP. But this is also, you can put these in any other scrolls that give you choices in the future. Just consider these not necessarily just for SWC 2021 scrolls, but for anything in the future. Top tier for arena or blessings, right? A lot of people have blessings. They're like, what should I choose from blessings? Here we go. And if you're focused on trying to climb higher in arena, Samoth, Tiana. I don't think that Zyros really needs to be super crazy top tier on the list. These are not necessarily in any specific order. Samoth is super OP. Tiana is super OP. Just because there's no RNG related in Tiana. I know some people are like, oh, she's got low base speed. She does. That's why she's not as meta in RTA. Well, there's a few reasons that she's not as meta in RTA. But yeah, although some people do still run her, but it's the base speed situation, so she's not as good for arena defense. But if you know you can outspeed with her for arena offense, then you take the RNG out of the will it strip, will it not strip situation. So there's no RNG involved. Triton, better speed for arena defense, but you still have that RNG. Alicia is a fantastic unit. We don't really talk about Alicia enough. I use her all the time. I was guilty of not using her for a while, and she's fantastic. I don't know why I didn't use her. Probably just because I didn't think about her. I was like, oh, I'll use other stuff. Leo's a fantastic unit just overall. Leo's not just good for arena. Leo's good for RTA as well. But as far as PvE, he's not really going to do, like, Leo as a farmer, you're not going to farm very fast. Leo and Giants, no. But yeah, Zyros I would put a little bit lower on the list just because there's Shungpung, there's other stuff you don't really need. There's free-to-play friendly versions of Zyros as well. So like there's the Dark Pixie, there's the Fire Succubus, there's other things that you can use instead of Zyros. So he's not as needed as he was like 3, 4, 5 years ago. We have Mephisto, which is an underrated unit. If you have the other ones, consider Mephisto if you're going for arena because he is very useful. Same thing with Rocky. These are like less relevant, less special, less necessary. These ones are going to Samoth, Tiana, Triton. These are going to be the more Leo. These are going to be the more meta ones. Mephisto and Rocky are going to be less, but you take them into revive defense. Then we have this one. This is top tier units for World Arena focus. If you're trying to climb in World Arena, you're like, okay, what potentially could I use from, they got the Hathor in there. Again, these are not necessarily in any specific order for these ones. These are just, here's a list of good World Arena units. If you're looking to climb. The other things, like the other 10 on the list, of course, these are all good for World Arena as well, but these ones are good for World Arena specifically, but not for like dungeons. Like you're not going to bring Mo Long into dungeons. You're not going to bring Mo Long into TOA. Someone's going to be like, I bring Mo Long into TOA. Why? That's my question is why. Someone's doing it. Someone's bringing Diana into like TOA hard. They're like, hey, I got Diana TOA hard 100. Why? That's my question. I'm sorry. That's my question is why. But yeah, these are mainly for World Arena. Leo, Mo Long, Hathor. Hathor's still very good. I think we are not catching on to the fact that Hathor, she's not as strong with the additional damage artifacts, but she's still effective. It just, again, it takes longer, like it always has with Hathor. So she's not very fun to play with, but she is effective in what she does is she denies the enemy their turns. She will, CC for 2 turns with the sleep, and then she also decreases attack gauge as well. So it's just turn denial in a turn-based game. Again, going back to the beginning, turn denial in a turn-based game is very strong. Hey Gang takes a lot of, you got to get used to actually playing with Hey Gang because he does require actual skill and actual intelligence to effectively use Hey Gang. Juno, that's why I can't use Hey Gang well. Juno's a great unit as well. Takes a little bit less knowledge, and Juno's just going to do what she's going to do, right? Okeanos, which is actually a little bit more useful than I give him credit for here, because you could use Okeanos in like arena offense, you could use Okeanos in TOA and things like that. Okeanos could, definitely be on this top 10 overall list. I think it's a fantastic unit, especially additional damage artifacts as well. And then Moore is another great one. Again, you could use Moore for a little bit more. No pun intended. Like, you could use them for dungeons and things like that, but Yeah, he's more for the other stuff. He's less reliable because he doesn't have because he got a slight nerf. Not this last patch, the patch before, was it? Which patch was it? One of those patches. And then Nana, which is again more RTA. Although Nana is good in Nana's good at other stuff too, not just in RTA. So maybe Nana should be on the actual like the list because Nana's some of these are like a little bit better than just RTA though. To be just to be real, some of these are a little bit better than just RTA. But anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know how many people are actually going to get some value out of this. Maybe some returning players, maybe some new players. You know, so anyway, that's it for this one. Like I said, but I'm like, you know what? I already did the presentation. I may as well actually finish and actually do a video on it. Otherwise, I just delete the presentation. Anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys have a good weekend or whatever. I will see you as always in the next one.